In less than a heartbeat, one sentence shook South Africa's political nerves. The ANC flatly rejecting King Misuzulu's call to rename KwaZulu-Natal. A province built on history, identity, and power suddenly found itself in a national tug-of-war. Names aren't just letters on a map. They carry memory, authority, and influence. And what happens next could quietly reshape how culture and politics collide in this country. If you care about where this story is heading, subscribe now and watch right to the end, because the twist behind this rejection is bigger than most people realize. For the first few seconds, the drama feels simple. A king makes a symbolic demand, and the ruling party pushes back. But behind that surface is a much deeper question. Who really controls the story of a place, the state, or the people? KwaZulu-Natal is not just a province, it's an emotional landmark, and changing its name is like touching the spine of history itself. What looks like a political statement is actually a cultural earthquake waiting to settle. Then comes the payoff most viewers don't expect. This isn't only about tradition versus government power. It's about precedent. If one province changes its identity today, what stops others tomorrow? The ANC's rejection sends a message far beyond KZN, signaling how far cultural authority can go before it collides with constitutional control. And in that collision, reputations, alliances, and voter trust are all quietly tested. Now pause and think for a moment. If your hometown's name suddenly changed, would it feel like progress or erasure? King Misuzulu's proposal taps into pride, history, and belonging, while the ANC frames the issue around governance and national stability. Two powerful ideas, pulling in opposite directions, meet in one controversial moment that refuses to stay quiet. What makes this story fascinating is the timing. South Africa is already navigating economic pressure, social tensions, and political realignments. Dropping a naming debate into that mix is like adding fuel to a sensitive conversation. Supporters see restoration of identity. Critics see unnecessary disruption. And somewhere in between sits a public wondering who is really being represented. Listen closely to the language being used. When leaders talk about heritage, they're speaking to the heart. When they talk about process, they're speaking to the law. King Misuzulu's call lives in emotion and history, while the ANC's rejection lives in systems and governance. That gap between feeling and structure is exactly where controversy grows fastest. If you're already seeing how deep this goes, make sure you're subscribed, because we're just warming up. Stay with this story until the very end, because what starts as a naming dispute slowly reveals power struggles, political signaling, and cultural negotiation that most headlines completely miss. As the debate spreads, social media, radio talk shows, and community meetings light up with one question: who gets the final word on identity? Some argue monarchy preserves legacy. Others insist democracy must lead every decision. And while officials trade statements, ordinary people feel the impact in how they relate to the land, the name, and the future attached to it. By the time this story reaches its finishing point, it's no longer just about KwaZulu-Natal. It becomes a mirror for how South Africa balances tradition with modern politics. That balance is fragile, emotional, and powerful. So subscribe, stay locked in, and watch to the very end, because the real meaning behind the ANC's rejection of King Misuzulu's call is only beginning to surface.